Good morning friends, and in today's video I've got some new toys. I finally bought a Gransfors bruks small splitting axe. Use that today, and my new prototype knife which I've made, and if you follow me on Instagram you'd have seen some photos of this from last week. I'm going to give this a thorough testing today. As you can see from the scarf and the hat, it's a bit chilly today, so I'm going to get a quick fire going. And what I think I'll do a small Siberian Firelay, because I need a bit more flames today, keep me warm. That was nice and quick to light, so keep me nice and warm now. Put some more splits on, because I need to get them 3 logs in the back burning. And now I can get my tripod out, get my kettle on. Now that all is well with the world and the kettle is on and the fire is going nicely, I thought I'd show you a little modification I made to my rucksack. Now I've been using this rucksack, which is a Bison Bushcraft Garand pack, for about 2 years. Now I haven't been using it the last 3 months. I've been using the Firelay Stuben, and that's excellent. But I thought I'd bring this out again because I do like this pack, and I've made a modification. Now one thing I've noticed with rucksacks generally is they're dark inside, and if your stuff sacks and all your gear is dark as well, if there's not a lot of light, they're a pain in the backside to look for stuff. What I did, a pretty easy fix it was too, I had some silver foil insulation in the loft. Not insulating my loft, it was just a roll of it there for various projects, and I thought to myself, I'll make an inner out of that. My gear will be slightly insulated and I can actually see what's inside there. That's basically all it is a big bucket. I just folded it in, taped it up to the right size and plonked it inside. To be honest with you, it's working a treat. And one thing it's doing as well, which is good, it's maintaining the form of the pack. So, you know, sometimes you fill a pack and, you know, things are sticking out here, sticking out there. This actually keeps everything nice and straight and square in the pack. So the pack rides better on your back as well. I'm quite pleased about that. A very easy fix. Another good thing is it will stand up, not brilliantly, but it will stand up on its own a lot better than without the inner. Well, I'm pleased with that. Little tip I thought I'd share with you. Now this fire technique I seen with Laz, Survival Russia on YouTube, and a few years ago I was using it all the time. But the last, say, 2 years, I think since I've been doing the channel, I haven't bothered with it. I've just split wood for a nice burn. But this is a good way to pump out some heat. It's also a good way to not be sawing and chopping loads of wood. Because as soon as you get them 3 going, you just feed them in. Bit like a star fire, but it knocks out more heat and it does burn quicker than a star fire. But I thought I'd do it today because its temperature's dropped a bit. I'm actually warmed up now. It's okay. And it's supposed to be a nice day anyway, but it is 9 AM, so it's still a bit chilly. Yeah, that is going well now. It does rely on some nice stuff to get it going. You know, you need a few splits if it's damp, or quite a bit of nice dry wood, but when it's going, it more or less looks after itself. Just chuck a couple of small ones on, help it tick along. A very good Firelay. I think it's time for tea now. Now before I get to the fun bit, where I play with my new tools, I thought I'd just explain something to you about the Siberian Firelay. Now I saw Laz doing this quite a few years ago, and about 4 years ago in the winter up here, I basically burnt a Siberian Firelay for the whole winter using logs and using 5. Now I think Laz said in his video, or he's done several videos on it, that 5 is about the optimum. But he's in Siberia and sleeping out sometimes in like -30 and using one, but he's using logs that big. It's not that cold here. I don't need to do it, but I have slept in a super shelter with one, and I did find that, say, every hour and a half, I got to get out and I've got to move them forward a bit. Well, this one's burning well now. It's burning as it should do, so I don't really need to put a lot of splits on underneath. Just want to keep it going, get a nice flame. It's surprising because I'm sitting 6 foot away from the fire now and I can feel the heat coming off it, and that's a small one. Great to cook on, obviously, as long as you've got something over the top. Now if you notice with the Siberian Firelay, the logs are at an angle. If you put them closer together, then the fire will creep down them. Well, you don't want that because you want the heat coming towards you, not going backwards. Obviously this is a technique for a one-man shelter, unless you sleep, 2 of you sleeping head to toe in a lean-to or a super shelter, then that's fine, but this is generally for heat coming towards one person. The base log will burn out, so really speaking, perhaps a damp one is a good idea so it doesn't burn so quick, but then you're getting smoke. But it's a cracking idea, obviously very old and from Siberia. So I just wanted to give Laz a shout out for this because he's the one who brought it to my attention. I didn't work it out. I seen it with him. Right then, I'm going to have a play now with this splitting maul. Sorry, splitting axe. It's not a maul. I think there's a difference. A maul has got a longer, narrower head, whereas a splitting axe, it's got the same sort of size head as an axe, it's just like that and not like that. Yes, I've been looking for one of these for a while and I decided to buy one. Let's have a split. In a previous video, about a week or so ago, I attempted to split this round and this round down with my Gransfors wildlife hatchet and a baton, and I failed miserably. There was no way it was going through it. This is seasoned and it's tough, so this is a good opportunity now. See how good this splitting maul is. I'll do these 2 rounds first. I've got 2 smaller rounds to go through, and I've also got one which is full of knots. Let's give it a go. One thing I wanted to mention as well, I did have a comment, the guy saying my splitting technique wasn't very good and that I needed to master the, what's it called, the twist, I think, or something like that, where you bring the axe down and as soon as you hit it, you twist it. Now I can do it, but I choose not to do it because I'm on my own. I find it a little bit dangerous, so I don't do that. When I'm splitting, I don't come down in an arc, because if I come down in an arc, there's a good chance of hitting myself, and I'm on my own. I really don't want to put an axe in my leg, so I come down straight and I bend the knees. There is a reason for it. One down, and I can hand on my heart say there's no way that would have gone through with a Gransfors or a Wetterling's regular head. May have done it with the Swedish Army axe, but yes, not bad. Made short work of that shorter one. Now for the nasty one. That kicked ass. Small knotty one. Boom. Thumbs up all round, I think. That ain't bad. I am pleased with that. Knife time. Now before I go slamming this through logs and shaving sticks with it, I just want to tell you a few things about it. This is a prototype. I've got no intention of making these, not yet anyway. I basically took inspiration from 3 different well-known bushcraft knives. Inspiration from the Skook and Bush tool, inspiration from the Bison Bushcraft original knife and also the James handle tool. Now, I own a few Skookum's. I've made quite a few of my own variants, but I don't have an handle tool. But I have handled one. A friend of mine, Steve, we were in a meetup a year or so ago, and he brought it with him to show me, and I liked it. A nice knife. Well, a couple of weeks ago on Instagram, Humble Woodsman, who I follow and he follows me, he's a good guy. He's also got a YouTube channel. I suggest you follow it. The guy is a Mors fan like me and does a lot of Mors Kochanski stuff. Check him out. And he lives in Canada where it's cold, so he can do it properly. Like, basically, we've got roughly the same shape as the Bison, because the small handle tool is this shape as well. I use 3 tubes, 3 thick stainless tubes, like my tribute knife, and so that's Mors' specification. He wanted 3 tubes in a knife. I've got a slightly protruding tang, just enough to take the shock off the micarta if you want to whack it with something. It's in CPM 3V, and what I've done different with this one than what I normally do, I put a high Scandi and a micro bevel on it. Now, if you watch me regularly, you know I do not like micro bevels, but the idea was to make a knife for long-term use. If you've ever tried sharpening a 0 Scandi grind in the field, you will know it's a pain in the ass. It really is. I've done it a few times and it's no fun. And I'm using DMT stones, which are excellent. You know, if you were trying to do it on something like a DC4, it's hard work and you're not going to get a really nice edge. You're just not. So I thought I'll put a micro bevel on it. Well, what I done, I ground the bevel on, and I did it shallower than usual, and then I stropped a micro bevel to my usual angle. I got muscle memory, so I know exactly where I'm stropping it, and this is pretty sharp. Now, I did use this last weekend, and what I found, the original dimensions of the handle were just too thick. I had too much meat here, so I've taken 2 mil off each side, and it's quite a bit slimmer now, and it's a lot more comfortable. Because last weekend I didn't film it for the simple reason, by the time I got round to it, it was dark and I couldn't film a thing. So I have battened with it. I've done a small amount of chopping. Yes, it's not the ideal size for chopping, but I did do a bit more about testing the edge. And I made 20 feather sticks. Yes, 20. Because if you notice on the last video, I've got a massive bundle of feather sticks when I light them on in fire, and I made them all with this. Not quite as good as my 0 grind, but it worked just fine. Unfortunately, I got no maker's mark on it because I'm waiting for some stencils saying CPM 3V to turn up. So that is the knife. It's basically the same dimensions as a bush tool, which I have. This is my go-to, which I've been using for a few months. As you can see, it's more or less the same size, but the blade is deeper. Quite a sharp point on it. I was wondering if the point would snap off, but it didn't last week, so I'm assuming it won't this week either. Just now it's a lot more comfortable. Now the sheath. The sheath is a major part of this. I've done a Kydex neck sheath. If I want, I can put a strap on it and turn it into a dangler. That's no problem. Skulls, because I like skulls. You probably realise I'm a metalhead, and I've always liked my skulls. So I had some of this. And I thought, well, why not use it up? So that looks pretty normal. I've got a tensioner here to make it a damn sight tighter so it doesn't fall out. But the back is the interesting bit. And this I definitely ripped off the handle tool, because the handle tool has got a Ranger band with a sharpening device and a ferro rod. And me, being fussy, I thought I'd make some holders to go on the back. Got a DC3, which is fine for sharpening a micro bevel. You've got the coarse diamond side, and then you've got the other side with a ceramic, and that will sharpen a micro bevel just fine. Ferro rod is an army model, and my pal Steve sent me this to try it out. It was branded a Castron. I've used it quite a few times. I've just put a bit of tape on it to hold it in there a bit better, and it's more visible. And this is just as good as I like my Fire. This is a very good ferro rod. So basically you've got the full package. You've got a knife that you could use long term, keep it sharp, and a fire lighting device. That's the package. Oh, and survival cord for fire lighting as well. I did last week fill the holes up with sisal, but they looked crap, so I took them out. That is the knife. Neck carry for winter use. Let's knock it through some wood then. I have my trusty baton. I've got a small round full of knots, and I got some splits, some quarters from what I split earlier with the Gransfors. Well, as expected, it was a piece of cake, that. Let's try this one. I'll just check the edge. Now, it was shaving sharp when I left home. I haven't got much hair left on my hand. Yeah, still shaving sharp. Let's see if it will be after this nasty little round. See, this is the problem with batoning with a small knife. That happens all the time. Let's face it, that's one to burn in the round. That was no fun. No fun at all. Yeah, but let's face it, you wouldn't make kindling out of that anyway. Feather sticks. It's just a nasty piece. I just wanted to test the edge out. Let's have a look at it. Edge is fine. And it still shaves. Good old CPM 3V. One thing I did notice last week though, I did use it a lot, and it did dull. The edge did dull, but a good stropping when I got home did bring it back. Make a couple of feather sticks. Effortless, to be honest with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with that grind. It's feathering and making fine curls just as good as my 0. Can't fault that. Next time it loses its edge though, what I'll do, I'll sharpen it, field sharpen it with a DC3. See how I get on with that. I'll make some thick ones now. Ignite the stick, thick ones, a couple more of them, easily light the fire, no problem at all, so the knife works well. But, there's a but here, I'll get back to it after I've lit this lot up. As you can see, pretty much effortless fire lighting with it. And here's the but. I just don't like this handle. I don't like it at all. It's nowhere near as comfortable as a bush tool. And at the moment, I'm suffering with a bad wrist. 30 years of manual work will do that to a man. And after last week making 20 feather sticks, it didn't do my wrist any good. And just making them few small ones there now, I can feel my wrist hurting, and it's because of this grip. Because if I use a bush tool, I haven't got that problem. I do not like this grip. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this knife, but if it's going to hurt my wrist when I'm making feather sticks, it's probably going to end up in the box. Shame. Reasonable about the work making a knife. Looks good. Blade's great, steel's great, I just don't like that handle. I'll stick with the bush tool. So I will not be making any more of these. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your views, and I really appreciate the thumbs up, as you all know. Until the next time, when I'll be using my bush tool. Ta-ra. Oh shit, falling. It's not. I have had one in the past, but I bought the Ramia's axe and thought to myself, oh well, this will do the job of two. So I sold the other axe, and I shouldn't really have, but I do that. I do buy stuff and sell it. But yeah, you can see how tough this stuff is. And I've cut myself. Laz's videos now, not so much on the bushcrafty side of things, but if you go back 2-3 years, there's loads of bushcrafty stuff on his channel and some good knowledge. So that's a shout out for Laz. Not that he needs one, because he's got about 500,000 subs or something, or 250,000, so there's plenty of people watching him damn sight more than is watching me. But if you don't watch him and you're not familiar, I think this is a nice fire to be aware of. I basically took, can't remember the word now. Start again. Start again.